Welcome back guys to another video. Today we're going to be building this articles page from UI Design Daily, and as always, if you want the sketch file, all you need to do is click this button right here and it will download the sketch file for you. Additionally, if you want to use the colors that they have used, you're just going to have to grab these colors from here, but I'm going to grab the colors from the image itself. The image I have is opened right here, and I'm going to grab the colors using my color selector right here. But before I do that, I wanted to scrutinize this image a bit, and you'll notice that this color on the background color on this button is the same as the heading color here, and as well as these tags, and as well as the links right there. And also, if you look closely, it's also the same as this button and this border, but just a bit lighter. What that means is that we're only going to have one primary color for everything. So I'm just going to define it once, and I'm just going to be reusing it over and over like a variable. Another thing you'll also notice is that this image has just a little bit of a border radius around 5 pixels or 10 pixels, but these others don't have it. Another thing you'll realize is the headings all have a font, and the font that they have is called Montserrat, and that's the font that we're going to be using for the headings as well as the name tags right here. But the paragraph and the links don't have the same font family, so I'm going to change the font family for them, and I'm going to use a font family called Roboto. But I think a more fitting font family would be one called B Vietnam. I'm going to show you how it looks, but I'm not going to use it. I'm also going to use Font Awesome for these icons, for these chevrons, and for this search icon right there. Now, the reason I chose this project is because it provides a challenge in laying out a web page, because as you can see, this is like a flexbox as well as this, but when you get down here, this is now looking like a grid representation, because they're all 50% of the web page. Now I'm not going to use this background color right here, because I would like for this to be a full web page. So I'm not going to add a container, and I'm not going to be using this background color. So we can head over to my files right here, and for the images, I used stock images from pexels.com, and of course this is the Burj Khalifa with stock images from pexels.com. All you need to do is just search, like for this, all you need to do is search trees and you'll get this image. For this, just search window. For this, just search team. And for these others, for the avatars, all you need to do is search for portrait, and the website is called pexels, pexels.com. So right away, I'm going to create my index.html file, not inside the images folder. I'm going to create the index.html file, close this up so as to declutter. I'm also going to, okay, not inside the images, what am I doing? I'm also going to, I'm also going to add my style CSS, and I'm going to add a script.js file. The reason why I have this script.js file is because if you look at this image, once a certain width is preceded or is filled, so to say, because I can't think of the right word, I would like for this to not display, but instead I would like to display them inside a navigation bar. So I'm going to add a navigation bar, not using icons, but I'm going to show you how to do that using HTML, CSS and JavaScript, in case you don't have access to icons or images. So I guess we can get started right away, and I think I'm going to be doing them side by side. Maybe it depends on how everything goes. So let me just place it side by side, and we can close the script file, and we can generate a basic template, not in the CSS file but right here, a basic template where we can link our style sheet called style.css, and I'm also going to grab Font Awesome from cdnjs.com. Now for this, we're just going to call it an articles page for the title. So let's go ahead and grab font awesome from CDN.js, and we're going to grab font awesome right there, and we're going to place it right there and comment this. And then what we're going to do next is actually grab the colors from the image. So I'm going to grab this color, and place it in a primary, in a variable called primary color, like that. Now the next thing I would like to do is add the bit of HTML that we're going to need for the template. So right now I'm going to add a header with a class of header, with a div inside with a class of navbar-1 for this top navbar, and inside that we're going to have a navigation with a class of navbar, and inside we're going to have unordered lists with the list items. How many are there? There are 4. There are 4 on the left and these 2 on the right, and they also go into links, but the links don't go anywhere. So I'm going to call this product. Now for this icon, I'm going to add it right after the anchor tag, and then it's called FAS and FA dash chevron down, if I remember correctly. And then the next is called pricing, and then the next is called use cases, use cases, and I'm going to add the same icon, chevron down, and finally I'm going to say blog. Now after the navbar, I want another div with a class of right. Okay, I don't really need a class. The reason why I'm adding this div is because display flex only works on block elements, and I don't like displaying block all the time in CSS. I'd rather just add the block elements inside. And I'm going to add another list with 2 list items, and the items are going to be buttons. Let me just see something. Buttons with the class of btn. Okay, nice. Now for the first button, I'm going to add an extra class called btn light, because I would like for it to be transparent, but this one is going to be dark. So this first one says login, and the second one says get started. This is the call to action button. Now once we are done with that, and below the header, I would also like to, should I do it below the header? I think I'm just going to do it inside the header, but with another div with a class of navbar-2, and this second is going to have the same navbar class as above here, because we are going to be styling the same thing, so no need to add so many styles. With an another list items are 5 with anchor tags at the end. What did I do? Okay, it's correct. With anchor tags at the end, and this is called project, this is called remote, this is called teamwork, this is called productivity, and this is called marketing. I also want to add another div inside the navbar2 class, which will be for this search icon. So I'm just going to add it as an icon, fa-search from font awesome, and just like that will be done with the navigation bar. Now let's head on to the showcase. Now for the showcase, if you look at this closely, you'll find that this is a grid, or at least from my point of view, this is a grid, and one grid contains all of this for the productivity, it contains the current article that you're viewing, and the other grid contains these recent articles. So all of this is going to be contained in one single section called showcase, which I'm going to create right here with a section called showcase. Inside this showcase, I want to have a div called showcase left, which means we're going to be styling this, and another one called showcase right, which is going to be styling this. So let's do that. We'll create a div with a class of showcase left with an h1 tag saying productivity, and below that we have an image from my images folder called trees. What do I call it? Oh, I call it showcase. Okay, I'm going to call it showcase for the alt attribute. Below that, I'm going to have this an h2 tag saying little things do make a difference. Oh my god, difference. Now the reason why I'm not capitalizing this is because I'm going to do it in the CSS, and I would like to not deal with little grammatical issues in HTML. So after this h2, I'm going to have a paragraph saying, why do you want to motivate yourself? Actually, just answering that question can be one of the better ways to get your daily motivation. Where's the other typo I made? Right here. Motivation with a full stop at the end. Now what I'd like to do for this image and name tag is that images by default have their inline elements by default. So what I want is to place this image inside a block element, and then this name tag inside a block element as well, so that I can display them using Flex. So right after the paragraph, I'm going to create another div with the class of avatar, and a div inside that with the image element from images. I'm going to call this Catherine Shelton, and for this we say Catherine Shelton. And right after that, I'm going to have another div with the class of this about h3, and we're going to say Catherine Shelton, like that. Yes, like that. And that looks nice. Now that we're done with this left section, I also want to add another section called showcase right. Let's also add another comment here and call it showcase left. Now for showcase right, what I want to do is create a div with a class of showcase right first of all, and then have an h4 tag saying recent articles. Once I have done that, I want to do one of these articles first, and then I'll copy it down and just substitute the words. So for this first article, I want a div with the class of articles, and then I would like a div here for the image, and this image I call it building, and just call it building. And that's for the first image. Then for this image, first of all, now we're going to deal with this. So for the second part, I would like another div, and for the other div, I'm going to say this is an h3 tag saying common symbols and their meanings. And right below that, right before this article's inner, I want another class. In fact, I want just the same class as this, so that I don't keep styling it over. So I'm just going to grab this, grab that, and place it inside this div, and let's just give it a class of articles dash inner, like that. Now what I would like to do is just to grab this tag right there and copy it down twice, and just substitute this, and we're going to call this, okay, let's just first change the image. I call this team, call that team, and we're going to say success steps for your business, and we're going to change this to corner persons, and this as well to corner persons. For the third image, I call this window, change this to window, and this will be the strength of your belief. I'm going to also change this to Jonathan Yates, and this as well to Jonathan Yates. And just like that, we're going to be done with the HTML. Now one more thing I'd like to do is add my script tag right here and get it from script.js, because we're going to be using that in the end game. Now let's get to the CSS. Alright guys, now for the CSS, I'd like to add some global styles right here, and I want to say the margin to be 0, I want the padding to be 0, and I want the box sizing to be border box. I'd also like to import the fonts that we're going to be using, one of them being Montserrat. We're going to grab it from fonts.google.com, and we're going to say for the Montserrat, like that. And for the Montserrat font, where do we use it? It's for this. So this is about 700 weight, and this is about 300 font weight, and those are the only two that we use. So we're going to grab 300 font weight, and this we're going to do 700. We're going to go to the import tab and grab this for the CSS, paste it right there, and the other font we're going to be using is Roboto. Oh, I wanted to show you the Bay Vietnam. Now this also looks close to this, so you can also use it, but anyway, you can use any font you want. Now for the Roboto font, what I want to do is, let me just close this. This is about 500 font weight, this is about 400, so I'm going to just grab the 400 and the 500 from the import tab, grab that and place that right there. Now we are done with that. We can close it, and then we can open this with live server and place it side by side. Now okay, let me just put it first. What you'll notice is that because we have not constrained the images, then they are going to create an overflow on the x-axis like this. So in order to prevent that, you can just simply come here and say for the images, let them have a max width over 100%. This will cause them to take 100% of the container in which they are placed. So notice that when I save this horizontal scroll bar down here will disappear, and just like that you have that, which is very nice. Now the next thing I would like to do is let me just check one thing. Okay, let me just display now for the header. I want to display the header as a flex box, and I think I may have made a mistake. Oh no, it's okay, I added another class. Let me just show you what I was thinking about. So if I'm to come up here and display this header as flex, what will happen is everything inside this header up to this second number will display as flex, which we don't want. So what I would want to do is display this number 1 as flex. Let me just see how this would go. Let me just add other global styles. For the list, we'd say list style tab, we say none. For the A tab, we want text decoration duration to be none. For the body, we want the text color, not the text color, but the color property, which targets the text color to be primary color. And for the H1, H2, H3, and H4, I want the font family to be Montserrat with sans serif as a backup, and I want the line height for this to be 1.3, and for the paragraph and for the anchor tags, I want the font family to be okay, as well as the buttons. I like the font family to be Roboto with sans serif as a backup for them as well. Excuse me. Now once I save this, what you realize is a few things. The font will change and many other things just like that. Now let's get the header, and we get the navbar -1 and display flex just to see what will happen, and I will align them to the center and justify content to to space between. So this first, what space will between will do, it will take this first block inside and place it to the left side, and the second block inside the same class that you're styling and place it to the right side. Watch what happens when you save, and like that, and it's very nice. Next thing I would like to do is let me just check if I can add the class of navbar. Nice. Okay, another thing I would like to do is, let me just check what happens when I do this. I don't want that. Yep guys, this is what happens when you do it all from the top of your head. So I'm going to just grab it from the header, from the navbar -1, and I'm going to say for the list items, for the another list, sorry, we're going to display them as flex as well, so that this list can go in raw form like that. And then we're going to take this, and for the list items we're going to add a margin of 0 on the top and bottom and 20 pixels on the left and right. Okay, that's too much. 10 pixels on the left and right. And for the header, if I forget, let me just add a padding of about 30 pixels on the top and bottom and 20 pixels on the left and right. Let's do this to 10 and this to 20. And for the A tag, where is the A tag? Did I predefine it? For the A tag, let me just say, let's have a color of primary color as well. And for the A tag, let me also have a margin right of 5 pixels so that I can push this a bit to the right. And let's also style these buttons now. I'm also going to put them in the globals, and I'm going to say the buttons should have a background color of primary color with a cursor pointer, and they should have a font family with this didn't get remove this as well. That's curious. This means I can just remove this from here, and I can say the text color should be white. I can add a padding of 12 pixels. I can also remove the border, and I can add a border radius of 30 pixels like that. Now for this, I want this to have a transparent background color, so we can do that by targeting between dash light, and we can say background color to be transparent like that. with a border of 1 pixel solid and primary color, and the text color of primary color as well. What did I do? Okay, like that. What else would I want to do for this header? I think that's it. Now for the second header, for the second navigation bar, I mean navbar -2, I want this to display flex, and I want align at the center and justify content space between, and then I want to grab this and say for the unordered list I want it to display flex, and then I want to grab this again and say for the list items inside I want a margin of 0 and 10 pixels on the left and right. And just like that we have this. So I will also want to add some padding on the top for the second nav bar. So let me just say padding top of about 30 pixels, 40 pixels. And if you look at this picture, you see that there's a border radius. There is a border radius right there. So what I'm going to do, if I add not a border radius, but there's a border, a horizontal line right there. So you can do that. There's a number of ways you can do that. You can come to the HTML and add a horizontal line, which looks horrendous, but it works. So let me just add some padding on this top navbar, and I'm going to say padding on the bottom to be 30 pixels. That's too much, 30 pixels. And then you can also reduce this to 20 pixels, and that works fine. That works fine. Another way you can do it is by adding a border top, and you would have to come and predefine it and say 2 pixels solid and primary color, and that would add another border. I don't know if you can see it. If I just come and remove this, where is it? Right here. You can see that border right there. You can reduce this to 1 pixel, and because this color is lighter, let me just grab this color. Because it's a much lighter color, if you can see it here, it's barely visible. So you can come right here and change this color using this selector, and just say you want a very light gray, something about right there. And next I would like to now start working on this grid. I'm also going to limit this because I don't want it going to the end. So what I'm going to do is take everything right from the body, from the bottom of the body to the end right here, and I'm going to add a container for them, and I'm going to come before the header tag here, and I'm going to say the container should have a max width of 1200 pixels and a margin of 0 on the top and bottom and auto on the left and right, so that it centers just like that. And that looks wonderful. That looks much better. Looks much better. So we can go for the productivity tab for the section. Now for the section, let's go step by step. For the section in the class of showcase, I want to add some padding on the top so that it just pushes down a little bit from this. Let's just check how this looks. Right, and then I'd like to add a font size for this H1, and I'm going to say for the showcase, let's add a comment and say showcase, and I'm going to call it showcase, and I'm going to say padding top. Okay, I also want a padding on the bottom, so I'm going to say 30 pixels on the top and bottom. And how many pixels do they put on the left and right for the header? Which means I can also just remove this so that it goes to the end. Oh, sorry, what did I do? Let me add 0 on the left and right. Not 0, let's add, how much was it? Was it 10? Was it 10 pixels or was it 30 pixels on the left and right? 30 pixels it is. Okay, so 30 on the top bottom, 30 on the left and right, and that will work well with this. I'm going to reduce the images now. For this for the showcase, I'd also like this to display flex. Should I use Flexbox or Grid? As soon as I use two of the same images, I'm going to change that. Okay, as soon as I do that, you can see that they are aligned side by side. Now what I would like to do, let me see what happens when I say display grid, because I had originally planned to use grid with the grid template columns spanning 2 and 1 fractional each. It's the same thing. Okay, now what I would like to do next is add a greater font family, a greater font size for this h1 tag. Let me just confirm it's h1. Okay, with the class of showcase left. So for showcase left and for the h1 tag, I want a font size of 46 pixels. Okay, and let's add a grid gap here just so that this can stop bugging me. Okay, now for the image inside let me also add some padding bottom here just to push it down. Let me see how this looks. Okay, nice. For the h1, I'm going to say padding bottom of 30 pixels. 30 will work. Okay, 30 works. Now I'm going to target the image so that I can add the border radius that I showed you right here. So it's a showcase left with an image, and I'm going to say border radius of 10 pixels for the image. That's too much, so let's reduce this to 5 pixels. Okay, now one thing you'll notice is that I haven't repeated this showcase here and here. That's because I want to reduce my writing, but just for the purpose of writing good code, it's good to always know what you're targeting. So I'm just going to add these classes right there and also there. Now the next thing I would like to do is add margins here and here on the bottoms. Let me just check what tag I gave this. This is the tag of h2 and this is the paragraph. Okay, so we're going to take this once again and add a tag of h2, and we're going to say padding on the top and bottom should be 20 pixels and 0 on the left and right. And I'm going to also add this because the paragraph will have the same. Oh no, it won't have the same, because once it also had some padding on the top, so I'm going to say 0 on the top and 0 on the left and right, but 20 pixels on the bottom. Let me add this to 40 pixels. 40 pixels. Okay, now let's deal with this avatar. Now once I gave this the same class of avatar, so I don't want to style it inside the showcase, left, but I want to style it inside the showcase. So what I'm going to do is come right up here and I'll say showcase and the class of avatar, because this avatar is used so many times, and not only in the showcase class but also in the showcase right class. So I only want to style it once so that I can target all the other classes here, and here, so that I don't have to do it 4 more times, So I'm going to say display flex, and I'm going to target the image in the avatar and I'm going to say the image should have a width of 30 pixels. Oh my god, I can't type. 30 pixels, and just like that, you see they have reduced. You can see that. Okay, And the next thing I like to do is reduce. Okay, let me just first align this to the center, and then I'd like to add a little bit of margin right here, margin right of about 20 pixels. And for the image, you can see the images are circular here. So in order to achieve this circular, you have to add a border radius of 50%. So I'm just going to do that by adding a border radius of 50%. What I do? Okay, I see what I did. I'm just going to remove this here. Okay, not remove it, but I'm going to say I'm going to add a class for it, for this first image. The reason why it didn't work is because you can see I have defined an image here with inside the showcase class, but right after it I've also defined another image inside the showcase class. So what CSS does is it will take the second definition to be of greater priority. So in order to not do that, I'm going to add an image for this showcase class. I'm going to add a class for the showcase image. Oh my god, what am I saying? So let me just go where are you here, and I'm going to add a class of showcase -img, and then go back here and I'm going to say showcase -img, and now that should work. You can see now this one retains its class right here, and now this is circular. Well, another thing you'll notice that it's not completely circular. So in order to achieve a perfect circular image, if you don't have a square image, is to add width and height to be same. So what you want to do is, with the width of 30 pixels, you also come and add a height of 30 pixels, and just like that you do that. So let me just add this to 50 and this to 50 so that it's visible. Much better, Catherine Shelton. Okay, and just like that you can see that we're done with this part. So next we want to move to the recent articles page, and we can do that immediately, and it's inside the showcase class with the showcase of right. And what do I want to target first? In the class of articles, let me just see what happens when I display articles as flex, and I'm going to say display flex. Oh my god, why aren't you responding? Display flex, and you see this happens. Now I would like to reduce this font size. Not the font size, but the image size, by targeting their widths. And I would like to do that by doing this. Let's just target the images, then the articles class with the images. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this and save for the images. That is going to interfere with the avatar a bit. We're going to say a width of 400 pixels. Yep, that's how it's going to interfere with the avatars. So for the avatars, what I can do is add a class for the images, and I'm going to say a class of avatar -1. Let's just do that, and also add it right there, and then add it right there. Is that the end? Jonathan Connor, Catherine. Oh, I'm missing Susie. Okay, Susie Russell. There you go. And this should be Susie Russell. Add that there. Okay, I already added it. Now the next thing I would like to do is define a height for these images, so that they all take up the same height on the web page. So I can do that by saying, let's add a height of 300 pixels, just to reduce the images. Now you can see this is the same as this, is the same as this. Now let's target these avatar images next because they are annoying. So next I'd like to do is from the articles, I like to target the articles in a class and the avatar. So let me just say grab this and say the articles in a class, and I set the avatar dash one class, and I want to say, because the avatar dash one class is for the image, I'm going to say the width should be 50 pixels. 50 pixels. It's like I've forgotten how to type all of a sudden. And a height of 50 pixels as well. That will reduce them to that. The next thing I'd like to do is let me just check this. Where's the display flex? Align and center. And justify content center. What did that do? Nothing, so we can remove it. The next thing I'd like to do is for the images, I'd like to add a margin on the right of about 30 pixels so that it pushes this a bit. Why won't you work? So what I should have done is here to define the width as 300 as well, and these images are disturbing. What do I want to do? Let me check for the articles. I have the articles. Okay. Now for the articles, for the individual divs, let me just target the individual divs, although that might cause some problems for the articles. This is the div, this is the div, there's also another div. Let me just say for the div, let's add a margin right of 30 pixels, and then remove this from here, remove this, oh my god, remove this, and that pushes them. Okay, and then let's add a margin bottom of 30 pixels as well, to push this down from this. And then from the actually these images are still too big, so what I can do is reduce this to 100 and this to 100 to 100. That actually really looks nice. 120. Excuse me. Now for that, now the reason why these words are so far apart is because I added padding on the individual divs. That's why these they're so far apart, but don't worry about that. We're going to fix it, or maybe I might just leave it like that, but no, that's too much. So let's reduce this to 10. No, let's just reduce to 20. Okay, now where was I? That's that. Margin right, margin. Okay, is this flex align center? Align at top center. Now let's push this down, let's push the articles down, because if you can see, this starts right about where the image begins. So we can do that by doing this. For the articles, I'm going to say padding top to be 80 pixels. How does that look? No, I added on the wrong part. I should have added it to showcase left. Where does showcase left begin? Where does showcase left begin? Okay. Showcase with the showcase left. Oh my god, showcase right. What am I doing? What am I doing today? What am I doing? Showcase right. Showcase. A class of showcase right. Don't do that. And that looks much better. That looks much better. Now I would like to limit this, just okay, not limit but increase the font size of these headings. Let me just check what headings are they. They are H3 headings. So I'm going to go to the articles, grab this, and right after the div I'm going to say for the H3 headings I'm going to add a font size of 30 pixels. What? Okay, let's put this to H5. Let's do this H5. Let's do this H5. So the grass one, and then let's go up here and add an H5 as well. And then 30 pixels is too much. Is it too much? 24 pixels on their meanings. How is this on their meanings? Oh, what I need to do here is text transform to capitalize. That looks much better. For the H3, let me add a padding top of 20 pixels, of 30 pixels. But that's too much space. Where is this space coming from? Let me remove this. Let me remove this as well. Margin bottom of 10 pixels. Okay. Of 10 pixels, of 15 pixels, of 10 pixels. Okay, let's deal with 10. Let's deal with 10. Okay. What else do we need to do is just add some padding below this. So for the H3, let's not for the H. Let me go to this, and I'm going to say a margin top of 20 pixels. And then after that, I would like for the H5 tag, let me just define it up here because it's only one. I'd like for the H5 tag to have a font weight of 300. That's too light, so I'm going to also add a font size of 16 pixels. That's much better. That's much better actually. And then what else do I need to do? Is there anything else I need to do? I think this looks nice, though the images are still they're not the same size. They're actually not the same size, as you can see. They're actually not the same size. I can become cheeky, and instead of this, I can add a width of 55. But that won't work. That won't work unless I keep on adding. Which image am I targeting? 120, 110. Yeah, it won't work unless I actually target the images one by one and actually increase their widths and their heights. That won't work. But this looks fine for purposes of learning, and it actually shows me that I need to get better images next time with actual heights, or I better scale them. And then let me just check something. Here. There's padding on the div, not padding but margin on the div, and there's also margin on the image. So let me just try and look at that. In the div there's a margin right of 20 pixels. So what I need to do is remove this from here, and what I need to add it on is here, a margin right of 20 pixels. Oh, nice. So this will actually, okay, I see you. I see you. Let me try something. Margin top 20 pixels. That will push you down. Okay. And I'm going to say margin left of 20 pixels. And I'm going to target the avatar. Is it the avatar class? Articles inner inside the avatar class. Let me just say margin left of 20 pixels. And that actually looks much better. That actually looks much better, guys. Much better. I was about to give up because of the images not resizing the way I want, but anyway, motivation. Why do you want to motivate yourself? Perhaps I ask myself that same question. Now the next thing we need to do is scale it down, and scaling it down is going to be quite a challenge. You can see that once it gets to it's fine until it gets to about 1200 pixels. That's when it starts going bananas. So what I want to do is when it gets to, let me add a media query, that when it gets to 1200 pixels, I want the container to have a max width of 900 pixels. That will scale it down a bit, like that, as you can see already. Now what that will do is interfere with the images a bit, but not likely. As you can see, they're just scaling a bit, and I would like that when it's about 768 pixels, because this still looks fine actually. So when it gets to max width of 768 pixels, then I want this grid to display in one fractional column. So what I could do is just go back to why I defined this, grab this, and say for the showcase class I want one fractional column for each. Let me see how that looks. That looks nice, and you can see it aligns everything. Now the next thing I'd like to do is align this to the center when it's at that looks horrible. Let me just leave it at that. That looks horrible. Okay, this actually looks fine, by the way. This actually looks fine, and this will scale down just until this navbar starts going bananas. What I could do, just check this media query once again. What I could do is make this 800 pixels. Yeah, make that 800 pixels. And I'm not going to micromanage everything. I'm assuming you are coding along with me, so once it reaches such a point, I just expect you to just put the media queries yourself. Just reduce this and reduce this, the image sizes, reduce the image sizes, and it will start to look better. I might do that in the final product, but for the purposes of learning, I think it's nice to leave it at a challenge. Now once we do that, it's obvious that we're going to need a menu button right here. So when I come back, I'm going to do the menu button. Alright guys, so the next thing I would like to do is add a menu button for toggling this menu when the width is below 800 pixels. So what I'm going to do next is just for the header, I'm just going to set it to height of 0 and overflow of hidden. You know what, let me see, position absolute. No, that won't work. Let me just go back to height of 0 and overflow of hidden and remove the padding. Yeah, that works. Once I move the padding, so what I would like to do next is add a menu button right here. I can add it here or I can add it on the bottom. On the bottom, look, it seems like for this type of website it would look much better. So let's go back to the HTML and say that let's go above the header, and we create a div with a class of menu button, and we're going to create 4 divs inside. Okay, not 4 but 3, so I'm just going to copy that inside. And for these divs, they're going to each have a class of bar, and for the first one is going to have a class of bar-1. So I'm just going to grab this and paste it here, and then paste this inside here, and this is going to have 3, and this is going to have a class of bar-2. Now as you can see, by default, because it doesn't have any padding, so you won't be able to see it. So let's go to the HTML and say that when it's less than 800 pixels, then I want to target this class, and I'm going to say it's a class of menu button, and it's above the header. So I'm going to say the class of menu button should now have a padding of 20 pixels. And I'm going to say for the menu button and for the bar, I'm going to say let's give these bars a width of 20 pixels and a height of 5 pixels, and a background color of red, just to see where it's at, like that. And then I'm going to also add a margin just to separate the bars. So I'm going to add a margin on the top and bottom of 5 pixels and 0 pixels on left and right. That's too much, so I'm going to say 3, and then reduce this height to 3, and that looks much better. Now what I want is for this menu button to shift from here to here to the bottom. So I can do that by saying position what? Absolute from the right, you want it about 30 pixels from the right, and from the bottom I want it 20 pixels from the bottom, and that brings it right here, as you can see. But that wouldn't technically make it viable. So what I could do is add a background color for this, so that, and place this as fixed, so that it scrolls with the font. It scrolls with the font, like you see. So I'm going to also add a background color of the primary color, and that looks nice. That actually looks nice. Let me just reduce this padding to about 10 pixels. This actually looks nice. This actually looks nice, guys, and I didn't plan for this. Now the next thing I would like to do is add some transition effect when I hover over this button. So I'm going to just I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to say below, and I say that on hover I want the background color to be transparent. Let me also add a border of 1 pixel solid and primary color. Okay, let's add a border radius of 10 pixels. Okay, 5 pixels, and then increase this to 2 pixels. And then let's say that cursor pointer, and then we say that I want a transition effect, transition for the background color. I want it to be about 0.4 seconds. Now you see, I don't know if you can see that it's somehow moving when I hover over it. The reason for that is because when it's in this state, it doesn't have a border. but when I hover over it, then it has a border. That's why it's jumping like that. So to fix that, all I have to do is come and grab this and add this here, and just like that, just like that. Now the next thing I would like to do is grab the header, and I said that for the header I'm going to add a class on it, and a class of open. This is the class that will be targeting the JavaScript and will be toggling it when the user clicks this button. So I'm going to say that when it's open, then I want the header to display block. Just for now, I know it's going to look a bit wonky. So let's go to the JavaScript and let's grab the menu button and say menu btn is document dot query selector, and it's called menu btn, and we also want the header, so we're going to say document dot query selector, and it's called a header. Now I'm going to add an event listener to this button so that when the user clicks it, it opens the header. So we'll do that by saying menu button dot add event listener, and we're listening for the click event, and using ES6 JavaScript we're going to say we're going to target the header, and we're going to be adding a class to the header. So we do that by saying class list, and because it's a toggle effect, we're going to be using the toggle method, and we're going to be toggling the class of open like that. And when you do that, what's his face? Did I do that correctly? Did I do that correctly? Why are you not working? Okay, I see you. If you can see right here on the top, you can see that it's working. It's working. What did it? Just reduce that a bit. You can see that it's working. It's working. Now the reason why we don't see it is because in the CSS I'm displaying it as block, but I hid it by hiding the height. So I can fix that by saying let's add height of 100 pixels and the overflow. Okay, we don't need that, but when I do that now, watch, it shows up. It shows up. I also want to add a transition effect on the header so that it just doesn't pop up, and we're going to say transition the height by 0.5 seconds. 0.5 seconds. And look at that. Look at that. It looks brilliant. It looks marvelous, if I do say so myself. Now the next thing I would like to do is style this header so it actually looks presentable. So we do that by saying let me just disable this for now because I want it to show as I'm styling it, and I'm going to say that for the header I want to display flex, and I want the flex direction to be column. Why won't you work? Did I not display flex for the header up here? If that is so, then I actually target these classes. So the header dot navbar -1, and the header dot navbar -2, and then that works. And then I also need to target the ULs and the ULs, so I'm just going to grab this, add there, and say the UL. Grab that, this changes to sudo, and say UL, and it gets that. Now what you'll notice is that the second navbar goes behind this image. So what I want to do is, let me say position relative, and we say bg color to be primary color. Let me remove that. Or you know what, I can be cheeky and say top 0 right 0, bottom 0, and left 0. That still doesn't work. Okay, so let's just remove this for now. Let's just remove that, and I'm going to say for here I'm going to grab, oh, sorry, I didn't add that. Okay, so once that is done, I'm going to grab these two, come up here, and I'm going to say the background color should be primary color. Okay, and for this second one, you remember I added this border on the second one, and I'm going to say border top of none, correct. And then I would like for the text on the header to be white. Really? Do I really? Okay, I have to grab this. I have to grab the header dot navbar -1 and the ul, li, and the a, and the header dot navbar -2 and the ul, li, and the a, and they say the color should be white, like that. And I also need the links, so maybe I'm just going to leave this color to be white so that the links take up automatic, like that. And then I'm going to come and grab this, that, and add another one and change this to 2, and I'm going to say excuse me, margin on the top and bottom to be 10 pixels, and this is 0 on the left and right, like that. And for the header I want to add a padding on the top right here. excuse me, let me add some padding on the top, and we say 30 pixels. Okay, let's not add it there, let's just add it on the navbar 1. So we're going to grab the navbar 1 right here, and we're going to say padding on the top to be 30 pixels, like that. And we're going to grab the navbar 2 and add padding right here. So navbar 2, we're going to say padding on the bottom 30 pixels as well. That looks fantastic. And what else do we need? I need to do, oh, there's a button not showing right here, so let's grab the btn light. So where do we place it? Let's place it, because it was in the globals, let's place it here, and we say the btn dash light. Oh no, let's just tell both buttons, and we say the background color should be white, and we say they should have a width of 150 pixels, and then we also say the color should be primary color. And then what else do we need? Is that it? Let's reduce this to 100 just to make it a bit uniform. Or I could even go to the header and say text align center, and that looks much more presentable on a mobile screen. And what else would I like to do? I would like to say that, let me just check how it looks on the mobile screen. On a mobile screen it would interfere with this. Okay, I see you. Let me just check something else. I'll just test how it would uncomment this and test it to see if it works properly. Okay, so you see we need to add some more height to this. So what I'm going to do is add a height of 100 viewport heights, so that it goes all the way to the bottom, like that. Oh gosh, now the reason why I can't click this is because it has a z index of a z index that is less than that of the number. So I can fix that by saying, coming to the where's the button position fix, I can come down here and say, let's give it a z index of 10 so that it will always be on the top. And just like that, you can say I can now click it. Now for this, let me just check. For this is about 30 pixels. This is 60, and this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. 12 is 120 pixels because they all have 10 pixels on the bottom here. That's 120 pixels plus 60 is 180, then plus another 10 here, not another 10 but another 30. That's 200 and what? What's 180 plus 30? 210 pixels. Okay, let's see if that calculation is correct, and we'll come here and say 210 pixels. Really? Did I seriously just butcher that maths? Did I really just butcher that mathematics? We can do this. So 600 pixels. Yep. And that looks very nice, guys. That looks absolutely brilliant. So this is the end of the project. Thank you guys for watching, and remember to like, share and subscribe for more of such content. And welcome back for another video, and thank you so much for watching and coding along, and I'll see you in the next video.